brochure, you may see that I'm listed as Nico Littleton. I'm not Nico Littleton. I am Stephanie Nichols. And we are glad you're here to learn more about Michigan Alliance for Families.
And my name is Clark. I'm the Wayne County Parent Advisory Committee, and I'm excited to hear you all today. Thank you for coming.
We are excited that you are all in person and brave and here. It's so nice to have like even faces that we can actually see if it's making sense or not making sense and how it comes together and all that good stuff. But I haven't done anything in person in a very long time. How many of you have heard of Michigan Alliance for Families? Okay, awesome. We want everyone to hear us. We want you to tell everyone you know about us. We want you to share our information widely and freely. We are totally free services all throughout the state of Michigan. I have a loved one that has an IEP. I think you guys might have picked that up already from my questions. My daughter is 13. She could have ASD eligibility. She could have OHI eligibility. She could have CI eligibility. She could have other eligibility options where she has a whole collection of different letters that have all been identified to be attached to her, and we've tried to figure out how to meet her needs. So the really cool thing about Michigan Alliance for Families is that we all have this lived experience with a loved one, and then we get to share all this additional knowledge with all of you. There we go. That's some of us. That's not all of us. We are all throughout the state of Michigan. We are totally free for families. We are parent training and information to help families be more involved in their child's education. We all live where we serve so that we know what our local resources are. So when you call and say, we're really having issues with the dentist, we can't figure out how this piece fits together. We tried these two different places. We need a recommendation for somebody that will know what to do with the dentist. That's why we live where we serve, so that we can say, here are 3 options that I know. I can't endorse any private company because I can't, but I live in your area and these are 3 that people like. So we are where we serve so that when you call from wherever you are throughout the state, we're able to put those pieces together, including those things that are hard to figure out. There are very regional things around Michigan. There are totally different things if you are in the UP or you're in Northern Michigan, or if you're here where we are, where we have lots and lots of choice and lots of services. In Traverse City, there is one therapy provider for occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy. We have 6 different branches, but it is one provider, and that is the only option. So knowing what it looks like, where we live and where we serve makes a difference for how we're able to support families. We also are able to reach more families. We have 22 ventures around the state, and really just help everyone be stronger. I think when we all enter into the land of special education, it doesn't really make sense, and it's not terminology that you hear in everyday life. So we're able to help families make sense of it and explain how some of those pieces fit together. We are not, well, a few of us are educators, and many of us are not, that we all had different jobs before we had kids, before we changed jobs, before we came into this. Variety of different things. And there is all sorts of different passion and all sorts of different areas that brings us strengths and brings us different perspectives of what we can bring to our work as parent mentors supporting families throughout the state. I was a multimedia programmer, that's where I am on that screen, but all of these jobs are actual jobs that people that are currently working for Michigan Alliance for Families have had. So we're coming from all these very good backgrounds, very perspectives. The thing that unites us is this loved one with a disability that we're trying to figure out how to support. And we are all leaders within our own communities before joining Michigan Alliance for Families. So all of us have different family structures. We are not clones of one another that are trying to do the same thing. We're able to lean on each other when we need more information on a specific area. So I've been working with a lot of families who are foster parents, who are trying to figure out how to navigate that system and special education. And I did not have a ton of information or personal experience. And I have 3 different parent mentors around the state that do have a ton of information and personal experience that I can call and get more information on. One of the great things about Michigan Alliance for Families is when you call, we might say, I don't know. And that's a totally honest answer, but we have a great network that we can lean on and try and figure it out and then circle back with you. It's not a one-time call, it's not a 5-minute limit, it's not any of that, but we're here to help you navigate, help you figure it out. And it may take us doing some research to get back with you as well, but we do have all this additional training on the special education laws that we can all lean on. So what unites us as Michigan Alliance for Families is that we were already leading in educating families, that we had joined PACs, joined MICC, started parent groups, tried to figure out how to integrate AAC into our communities, or how to bring people together that were using different technologies, or what that looked like. We were all information seekers, and we are passionate about students having free, appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment that meets their individual needs. And we wanted more families to have that information. We think that that's not information you get immediately and you have to start to dig. And we want it to be information you get immediately without any digging, where everyone can start on that same page, knowing your child is entitled to free and appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment. That foundational piece of the federal law we want everyone to know about, and hopefully to not have to fight for it. That's the ideal. That's where we want to be. So we want to help schools and families, everybody get on the same page to collaborate to meet those individual student needs. All right, that's who we are. That's where we came from. What do we do? I kind of love this slide. Do you guys know all of these? It's terrifying as parents, where you're like, oh yeah, I know 3/4 of these. The one for me that was like a tipping point, where I figured out I was totally in over my head, was FBA. I had never heard those letters together ever in my whole life. And I thought I had been doing a pretty good job navigating the IFSP and navigating the IEP. And then I was like, okay, FBA. And I looked it up, and it could mean functional behavior analysis or functional behavior assessment, or it could look like this, and anyone could do it. And all the information felt really, really general. And trying to figure out FBA is actually how I found Michigan Alliance for Families, where I could not put the pieces together in a cohesive way to make it make the most sense for my child, and I needed someone to guide me through it. So our role, what we do, is help decode some of this acronym gibberish that we hear all the time and apply it so you know what it actually means to your kid. When you're looking at this screen, does anybody have any that you've never seen that you want to know what it means, or any that you've really struggled with? Like, this is an oddly common collection of acronyms that we run into all the time in special education. If you see one, you can come up to me after. We can talk about it. If you have questions, reach out to your parent mentor. These are all things that have real words attached to them that matter. But you're speaking this other language in special education, and we're here to help translate that and have it make sense so that you can be more actively involved with your child's education. So what we do is empower families to focus on their individual child, to focus on what their child's needs are, and to remember that placement is not what comes first. Your child's needs are what come first. How you meet those needs is the discussion of the team that you are a member of. So how to communicate those needs and collaborate with your team where everybody's starting from that same spot. Because we can all agree that we want what's best for the child, and we can usually all agree on what their needs are. Or how we get there sometimes gets murky and questionable, but to collaborate best with our team, we want to start with really focusing on your child's needs and how you communicate that so that the whole team is on the same page. Understanding your rights, your procedural safeguards, your dispute resolution options. Stuff that sounds really dry and boring, it's really super important because we're interacting with our government when we're interacting with schools. That we have rights. There are certain things that are in place. There are laws that are written to protect free and appropriate public education for all of our students with disabilities. And then to be more involved in your child's education. That you are a voice at the table and you know your voice at the table. You're shaping that educational piece to fit into their greater life. That one of the things that IEP teams end up doing is looking at the year, a little bit in tunnel vision. We're going to look at these next 12 months. Because the teacher might be with the kid for 12 months. That might be the whole length of their relationship and what they're thinking of. This is what I want to do in this year. As parents, we're kind of in it for the long haul. We might be in it for more than a year. It's just a possibility. So we want to be thinking about what our long-term goals are, what we want adult life to look like, what we want high school to look like, how we're going to work, how we're going to independently live in the community, what those pieces are going to look like, and what your vision is for your child's future, to be able to drive that greater vision into those annual IEPs. That if you're saying, I I want my child to be here. I want to make sure they have a job, a part-time job before they leave high school, because I want to make sure they have a full-time job or part-time job, employment of some sort after high school. And the biggest indicator of having employment after high school, employment in high school. It's a surprise. So if that's where we know we want to be headed, that's our target, and my daughter is 10, then I want her to make sure she has chores at home, but I also want to make sure she has tasks and responsibilities that are independent at school. That there are building blocks that can be in those annual IEPs at young ages that are working toward those long-term goals. So how we are involved in that plan and how we're shaping those annual goals really makes a difference in what it's going to look like long-term. So we do a lot of different things to meet family needs. This is not how we do it. It's not. We try and meet everybody where they are. So right now we are here. We can answer questions. We can talk about things. But Michigan Alliance for Families knows that you are very, very busy and that you do not always have time at the specific time of day that is easy for someone else. We have tons of information on our website that is super easy to navigate. We have a search bar that's easy to use so that when you hear things like FBA, you can look them up. We have a series of recorded videos on all sorts of different topics that are on our YouTube channel that you can watch at 3 a.m. when you have time and you're like, oh, I need to know more about extended school year. We're talking about that at our next meeting. I don't have that information. Here's 3 documents I can look at. I have 3 minutes. I'm going to watch part of extended school year, and then I'm going to pause it, and it's going to remember, and I can go back to it when I have time again. We're trying to meet everybody where they are to be able to get you as much information as possible. We also have live virtual webinars right now that hopefully we'll be moving back to more like a format like this in the fall, where we'll be able to get back around the stage and connect with people in person. But right now everything is virtual, and we found that we are reaching a ton of people that way, that we have removed childcare and we've removed transportation and we've removed some of these hurdles that are letting more people get access to our information. So one of the things we offer is a 5-week in-depth IEP course that is only for parents that already have an active IEP for their student, and then it has homework each week where you actually have to take a look at a specific area of the IEP. We learned about the present level in class. You're gonna have homework to take out your present level and apply what we learned. That is actually open right now for a class that started on April 13th. So if anybody wants to check that out, I'll show you our events page in a little bit. We also have less commitment than that. Like that's our highest commitment learning opportunity. 5 weeks, hour and a half a week. That's a lot. We have behaviors, communication, we have sensory needs, we have mental health needs that I actually attended this week with the Association of Children's Mental Health through Michigan Alliance for Families. And I'm using some of the skills that I learned there about re-entry after the pandemic when I haven't been in a room with people in a while. So all sorts of useful topics that we're trying to hit, the things you guys need to know right now. And if you're not seeing what you need to know right now, info at Michigan Alliance for Families, let us know. We want to be sharing that information with you. Throughout the pandemic, we were updating. We have a COVID-19 section of our site that has all of that guidance and all of that information as it was changing throughout the state. We have sections on transition to adulthood, early on. We support birth to 26. We have sections on all of those areas. So tons of information. You can look at the website, you can look at the webinars, you kind of got an idea, or you didn't want to do that. That's not how you roll. That's totally fine as well. Pick up your phone, call us. We have mentors throughout the state. Mentors will do one-on-one counseling, we'll do one-on-one information. So that is, here's my problem right now, I don't know what to do. Or here's the big picture of what I'm thinking about. What are some things you might, some seeds might be planted. Listening, we are trained at problem solving, we are trained at special education law, in addition to our experience in our lives in the past. So we are ready to support people as they come to us with all sorts of different problems. And like I said, we do not know everything. We will say we don't know and we will research, we will circle back with you. And then the last little tip of this triangle is when we refer on to other partners throughout the state. So we have a huge network of partners that are vetted across the state that do different things. Some of the big ones that are up here, special education communication services, right out in the hallway, actually. And they are totally free throughout the state mediation or facilitation for any special education meeting. So if your communication is breaking down, your trust is breaking down, you feel like you're spinning your wheels, they are fantastic to have kind of bridge that communication gap to make sure all parties are heard. So they are a wonderful, another free resource that's grant funded in Michigan. Disability Rights Michigan, another grant funded, fantastic. How many of you guys know about Disability Rights Michigan? All right. I wish I brought more things in. Disability Rights Michigan actually has a special education advocates handbook that they wrote 20 years ago and that they keep up to date. So if you go to their website, Disability Rights Michigan, it's DRMish, I think it's org. They have PDFs of each chapter, and their chapters are like eligibility, 504, discipline, and they have sample letters for when you need to request things, and you should do that in writing from your school district. So they walk you through, they are lawyers, they can give you legal information. We are not lawyers, we cannot give you legal information. We can explain process, we can explain the intention of IDEA or MARCH, those federal and state laws. They can actually give you legal information, and they break down that legalese into understandable English in those chapters. Fantastic resource. You can also order a hard copy of it, which I do not recommend because they update it and you want to see the current stuff. So wonderful, wonderful resource. We also refer in some cases to advocates throughout the state, depending on the situation. So we do have a web of advocates throughout Michigan that we are able to refer to. They can't take every case, they can't talk to every parent. Our goal as mentors is to help families be their own best advocate and know their rights and be able to effectively advocate for their own kids. So that's a little bit of how we do it. Any questions on that structure or when you would do what, or you can do any of them in any order? Okay. So our regional parent mentors are that middle piece. And they are really who you would build your relationship with, who you would be able to call, who you would be able to connect with in person. That when we do in-person learning opportunities, they host in their local area. They are who answers their phone in their region. They are who attend their PAC meetings in their region or their LICC meetings. They're connected throughout your community and are able to help you connect throughout your community. So one of our goals is to help build parent leaders where parents are empowered with additional knowledge and information and are joining different groups to try and impact change. And RPMs can help you do that, our regional parent mentors. Are you guys all parents? Do you have any professionals in the room? So professionals care more about this than parents do. Our work is grant funded, and it is grant funded through a variety of sources, and how our effectiveness is measured is in these state performance indicators. So for early on, for Part C, which is, we all know, so Part C is from birth to 3, and Part B is 3 to 21, or in Michigan, 3 to 26, which feels backwards that they're Part B and Part C in that order. But Part C is for the little kids, the birth to 3. And for Part C, we want to make sure that families know their rights, effectively communicate their children's needs, and can help their child develop and learn. And those are questions that are actually asked to parents who participated in Part C, and we're able to impact that indicator. In Part B, we want to talk about the percent of parents with a child receiving special education services who report that schools facilitated parent involvement. It's not like a feel-good idea that parents should be involved in IEPs. It's in the law that the parent is a part of the IEP team. So that parent input is not suggested. It's what we're targeting, so it has to happen. So we are able to impact this indicator for the older kids, and I just call 3-year-old older kids in this situation, but for the 3 and olders. Michigan Alliance for Families does support any family that has a student that currently receives or might be eligible to receive special education supports and services. In the federal law, in IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, that's from 3 to 21. In Michigan, we've expanded that, so it's birth to 26. So when you are looking at evaluation or trying to determine eligibility or trying to transition to middle school or thinking about what post-high school is going to look like, or trying to figure out adult transition programs, or trying to figure out preschool, or trying to figure out kindergarten, we are there for that whole time. We have information on all of those transitions. I think in special education land, we get stuck on transitions being when you exit high school, and in life, all of those pieces are transitions that we need to navigate and may need support on and may need to explore some more information on. So we support all of these ages, and our funding comes from a variety of different sources. It kind of makes sense of who the ages that we support. So early on, Michigan is that birth to 3, the Michigan Department of Education, and US was the I'm gonna switch to acronyms if that's helpful. Sorry. The US Department of Special Education Programs and Michigan Department of Education, that 3 to 26. And then Pacer Center Project Launch is a newer area that we're involved in that's specifically about that adult transition piece. And we're building up, we already have a lot of resources there. We're building even more resources on what that can look like and how to make that an effective transition. So those are our sources of funding, and that we are totally free for everyone that calls us. There's nothing that we charge. Call us when you have questions. Call us if you think your child might need an IEP. Call us if you don't understand how the IEP works. Call us if you don't know what extended school year is. Call us if you wonder who your special education compliance officer at your intermediate school district is. Call us to say hello and establish that you want to be on our mailing list. Feel free to call us. We are all around the state. If we have time at the end, I'm going to pop back up and do a website tour, but I think I'm going to hand it over to Kara at this point. We do have an active Facebook page, Twitter page, YouTube channel. Feel free to connect. Let's get close to you. I'll turn myself off.
Okay. Thank you so much. Again, what I just want to say, thank you everybody for coming today and spending your time with us. As Stephanie said, Michigan Alliance is an amazing resource. It's definitely one to keep in your back pocket at all times. Same with DR Michigan, Disability Rights Michigan. That one, I highly recommend that you look at that book for educators, for parents. This is a really great resource at all times. And the fact that they update it online is amazing. It's really helpful. I'm going to talk about the Wayne County Parent Advisory Committee, and every oh my goodness, what am I trying to tell you? The alphabet soup kind of gets tangled in my mind sometimes, and my words get twisted, so I apologize for that. So every county in Michigan does have their own parent advisory committee, but today I'm going to focus on the Wayne County Parent Advisory Committee. So every intermediate school district, which is also an ISD in Michigan, is required to appoint a parent advisory committee, or a PAC. And in Wayne County, it's the Wayne County Parent Advisory Committee. We're comprised of members who make up or who represent each of the 33 public school districts and the 100+ public school academies, charters, and so forth in Wayne County. And per the Michigan Administrative Rules for Special Education, it says that the PAC representative shall consist of parents of students with disabilities. So again, it's not a feel-good thing. This is the law. And what do PAC members do? So PAC members, one of our biggest things that we do is we actively participate in the development or modification of the Wayne County Plan for Delivery of Special Education Services, the programs and services. Again, that is dictated according to the MARS. Are you guys okay with that acronym MARS? The Michigan, okay, see some people nodding. The PAC may also provide advisory input on any matters that the committee deems appropriate for the improvement of special education services within the districts. There's been times where if something comes up, the PAC will write a letter stating like what our stance is or what we feel about that. Sometimes when things are going on, we just want to make sure the parent voice is heard and that people understand just from another perspective. PAC members also serve as an information source to other parents, to staff members, to individuals in their communities. We have some members of the PAC, a lot of them are actively involved with their local parent advisory committees. So school districts, so for me personally, I'm in Wayne County. I've been involved in 2 different school districts. The one district that I was in, we tried so hard to get a strong parent advisory committee going. and we had like maybe 1 or 2 people show up. So I understand, I mean, and then in the district I'm currently in, it's been a little stronger, but we've worked really hard in getting the word out, getting people aware. It's amazing to me how many people are not familiar with what a parent advisory committee is. So my goal personally is make sure people know that's another resource, it's another source of information. It's great to have that connection with other parents. So that's a really good thing to have in mind too. Some other parents, or I'm sorry, some other members, what they'll do is they'll create social media groups, like a private Facebook group. We have a couple of our parent representatives who do that, that's in their community only. So they keep it as a private group, that way it's not open to everybody, so they can have private conversations and stuff like that. And then also some of our members choose to act as a serve their community special education advocate. So it's nothing is requirements, these are things that we can do though. So we have monthly meetings. The meetings are held on the 2nd Thursday of every month, and we meet throughout the school year from September to June, and our meetings start at 6:30. The meetings currently are being held via Zoom. All our meetings are typically anywhere between like an hour and a half to 2 hours. It depends on the topic that's going on that day. When we meet in person, the meetings are held at Wayne RESA, which is at Van Born and Wayne Road in that general area. And our meetings, every meeting includes a parent training or a presentation that's related to topics that were brought up by the members of the PAC. Let's see. I'm sorry. So, the other thing to keep in mind is that our meetings are open to the public. Everybody is welcome to attend. No one's ever turned away. You don't have to register, you're able to sit on and come in. So this right here is showing all of our topics that were done this year. So September, we typically do a member orientation or review. That's for all our new members and for our currents, just to go over everything that we do. And you can see with these topics that we've done. So what we did at the end, the meetings are all planned by the executive board. The executive board consists of a chairperson, secretary, vice chairperson, and treasurer. And those are all members of the PAC that volunteer. Your commitment for that is 1 school year. So it's like just 1 year. What we did last year is the executive board sent out a survey to all our PAC members to ask them what topics they're interested in, what needs are they, what are they needing and stuff. So all of these were brought up or scheduled based on the feedback we received from our members. Some of our biggest ones were transition has been a huge one lately. So is picky eating. A lot of people deal with picky eating. And last year we had somebody come and present on it. It was a really strong topic and people loved it. So we actually have her coming back and she's going to expand on that in May. You won't have to, if that's something that grabbed your attention or you need help with that, please feel free to join us. It's not something you have to attend last year. She'll focus and she's really great on that. It's one of our teams from one of the districts. Yes.
So how do you find out like the meeting, if it's going to be Zoom or in person? Like, do you have a website? Or
we do, yes. And actually, I don't think something is in the back of the room. We have some brochures and flyers back there. So I have a brochure for the PAC, and in there's a website. It's for the RESA website. It's RESA. I want to say RESA.net. That's what I was going to say. RESA.net. It's under special education, and then there's a parent advisory committee. But the website's on link back there, and we keep all of our information up to date on that. That's the best way for everything is on there right there. So you can go on, you can find the Zoom links, which are on the agenda, and we have meeting announcements that go out monthly. And then I'm actually going to get into that too. We're also on Remind, and I'll give you information on that as well in just a moment.
I mean, I just did an open county one.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay, cool. Well, that's good. Were you familiar did you ever hear about the Wayne County one?
No, I mean, I'm on Facebook. I get a lot of that.
Yep.
Oakland County is the one that I would see.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, where did you find, was it the Michigan Parent Advisory Group that you saw that one, or was it a different one?
I am in the Michigan Autism Parent Group.
Okay.
And I just mentioned on there that I was looking for transitional services.
Oh, good. Okay.
And people recommended
The Oakland.
County.
Yep.
A friend of mine also.
Okay, great. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that you're aware. Oakland does some good ones too. Yeah. All of them, like Oakland, I see Oakland a lot on Facebook. We're trying to improve our online presence as well and make it a little bit more. Yes.
So, you mentioned Oakland is working for it. So, and like I know our local district has a PAC. I didn't know, does Oakland County actually have a PAC?
Oakland County does, yes.
Really?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So what I would suggest is you can reach out to your ISD or your RESA, whatever you have, or in, Oakland County.
Okay,
Cool. Yeah, reach out to your public school, reach out to them and find out what they have. You can even contact your district, your local district, see if they can refer you. If not, go to the county itself, and they should be able to give you that information. Yeah, or check out their website too.
Open tracking, the first Wednesday, month at 7 p.m.
Thank you.
So yeah, so these are some, this is just an example of what we did this year. So I was talking about a RESA, so it's kind of like who or what is a RESA? So, you know, when I'm a mom of two boys, both my boys have autism and some other medical challenges. When we first entered this, I call it like this world, I had no idea. People would say stuff, I am like, what's a RESA? What? I've never heard of this. What's this? What's that? You know, IEP, what does this mean? So it's like this alphabet soup thing. And I feel like the more we go, every day, there's like more acronyms that come out all over the place. So who or what is a RESA? So RESA and ISDs are basically the same thing. They assist their counties and help out and everything there. So in Wayne County, it's RESA. They're a RESA, which is the Regional Educational Service Agency. And then, or they're known as the ISD, the Intermediate School District. So they provide support and services to the districts that are in their region. And Wayne RESA specifically, they provide a broad range of services and support to all of the 33 members, the 33 school districts and the academies that we have. The one thing I want to say is that we, as a PAC, we work really closely with RESA. We're really fortunate. They're so willing to work with us and they're great. They attend all of our meetings. The director of general supervision and we have a special ed consultant specifically that work with us. They're at every meeting. They're willing to answer any questions and help out however they can. At our last meeting, they just told everybody, if you have questions or anybody needs help, feel free to reach out to them. They have no problem and they make themselves available, which is something I can appreciate. Also, the superintendent for Wayne County and the assistant superintendent of special ed and early intervention services, it's not uncommon for them to come in, make themselves available and join in the meeting as well. So PAC membership. Every PAC member, basically the one rule is you have to have a student with a disability between the ages of birth and 26, and that they're receiving special education services somewhere in the county through the school district, through their local school district or the public school academies. So again, everyone's a parent, and when we say parent, we're talking about parent, guardian, also surrogate parents. So the parent, it's a minimum of one parent per each district with a maximum of 2. Because Detroit is such a large district, they have up to 5 representatives. Currently, there's only 2, but they can have up to 5. Right now, we do have some districts that do not have representation. So if that is something, you can go to the website on there. It has a list of all the members. And if it's something you're interested in, you can talk to your local district about. And any public school academy within Wayne County that is reported serving students with disabilities, they are also welcome to nominate and have somebody, if they can invite somebody to come represent their school. I will tell you that our membership for the public school academies is on the weak side. There's not a ton. We do have some, but not a ton. So if your child is a student at a public school academy or at a charter, and that's something you're interested in, I would suggest that you talk to the principal of your school or a special ed director, someone from your district, and you can get more information about that. So how to become a PAC member? So to become an official PAC member, a few things must happen. The whole time span of this is somewhere between a month to 2 months. It kind of depends on the timing of everything. So what happens is one parent is nominated by their local district or their public school academy. And then what happens is usually that'll go to your local board of ed. And then what happens there, once you're approved, then your special ed director will send it over to RESA. And then what happens there is it goes in front of the Wayne County Board of Education. It's more of a formality. I personally don't know of anybody that has not been approved by the Wayne County Board. That doesn't mean that there hasn't been, and that there won't be, but it's like a formality. So it goes in front of them. Once you are approved by the Wayne County Board of Ed, then you're official at that point. And I mean, we welcome everybody every time. You don't have to be a PAC member to come for our meetings. And I know that's the same with all the PACs. They welcome everybody to come. It's all about getting educated and learning and stuff like that. So each new PAC member serves a term of 3 years, and it can be renewed up to every district. It's up to their discretion. Your date begins on the day that you are approved by the Wayne County Board of Ed, and it terminates the June 30th following the completion of the 3rd year. So anybody that's joining today that is being approved now, somebody is approved now, this counts as their first school year. So it doesn't matter at what point in the year, whatever point in the school year you join, that is considered your first year. Any questions on any of that stuff? Okay, great. So there are many, many, many benefits of being a member of the PAC. Some of them, these are just a few. For everybody that comes in attendance, there's educational trainings. Like I said, every single meeting we have has some sort of educational training or presentation. And those last anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour and a half. We were very fortunate to have Don Hoyle come and talk about guardianship, alternative guardianship. And that one went a little longer. So there may be some meetings that will go a little bit longer with the presentation, but if that's the case, it is definitely a presentation that we feel that everyone needs to hear. There's also legislative updates. So for legislative, we have subcommittees. One of our subcommittees is the legislation subcommittee. And what happens is they follow legislation that affects people or students with disabilities at both the federal and state level. Anytime there's any type of update or something going on, or if there's like a call to action that's been sent out, we let everybody know what's going on. Recently, I don't know if anybody has heard, there's been some legislation about dyslexia. And it was introduced last April. And it's been sitting in a committee since. So I haven't followed up. I know it was there was rumor that it was going to go be heard at the committee on March 15th. Unfortunately, I just haven't had a chance to follow up to see what happened with that. But the whole point is to get that moving. So there was a call to action that was sent out. And so at our last meeting, we made sure everybody was aware of it and said, hey, if this is something this is the legislation, read the bills if you're interested in reading it, but this is what's going on. If this is something you want to do, reach out and contact your local representative and senator, let them know how you feel. So we encourage stuff like that as well. Another thing is networking. I mean, again, you kind of lose that personal touch when you're on a computer, but it's still a place to network and you can meet other families, we have many professionals that come to our meetings as well. A lot of like superintendents, special ed directors. We have a couple special ed directors that are at every single meeting. We're also very fortunate to have Beth Kohler's there from Special Education Mediation Services. She's there at just about every meeting as well. She just pops in, says hi, and she hangs out with us, which is kind of nice. We also have some Michigan Alliance for Family parent mentors that are part of the PAC as well. It's been a really good thing. For members of the PAC, so special recognition is one of my favorites. What you get to do there is once a year we have a celebration, and every PAC member is able to nominate one person who has made a difference or helped improve the life of somebody with a disability. So we have that coming up on May 19th. And people have nominated teachers, parapros, custodial workers. They've also nominated sports teams, groups, IEP teams, doctors, therapists, you name it, people have been nominated. The whole point is these people have done something where they've touched somebody's life and made a difference. And it's so nice to be able to recognize those people publicly. So what we do with that is we have a special meeting for that. We used to do it in person, and we present that before the Wayne County Board of Ed, but since COVID, we transitioned to Zoom. But it's nice. Every person receives a framed certificate. Their name is also engraved, and it goes inside a plaque outside of the meeting room that we usually meet at Wayne RESA. So it can hang there forever, which is kind of nice. Conferences, as a member of the PAC, Wayne RESA will pay for you to go to a conference, to attend a conference, as long as the conference is in state. We did try for Hawaii, but that got shut down. But they cover all your expenses and everything, which is really nice. That's for official members of the PAC. If there's a conference that you want to do online, like such as Rights Law, is everybody here familiar with Rights Law? Anybody? No. Yeah, see a few nods. If not, that's another resource. That's a great one as well. Rights Law. I could attend that training every day for the rest of my life and still walk away learning something new. It's amazing. But that was something that we started doing too, is paying for online virtual conferences. And also working closely with RESA. Me personally, I am the Wayne County chairperson. I'm the chairperson for this year. And this is my second year as chair, or second consecutive year as chair. And it's been really great working with RESA. You get to learn some more ins and outs. You get a little bit more of a connection. It's just nice to work with them and know and see the faces behind the people that are making the faces of the people that are making decisions that affect our kids in the county. And when something is going on and something just doesn't seem right, you can reach out to them. You can always do that, but it's something you can always do, you know, so please make sure that you check that out as well. So for the most up-to-date information, RESA.net is our website, and it's under teaching and learning. They changed the website a couple of years ago. So now it's just like really long our address, but to get there, it's teaching and learning, then special education, and then parent advisory committee. Or we also use the remind system. So what happens there is once a month, typically the week before the meeting, we'll send out a text. A text or email, however you want to sign up for that. It gives you an alert for the meeting, or if there's some type of urgent something going on, some type of alert, we can use that as well. So typically you receive one text a month, just so you know on that. It's not something we abuse. So feel free to join that, and that is welcome again for everybody. And again, in the back there is some brochures, and there's a QR code on the brochure too. That makes, if you want to use that, make life a little bit easier. So that is about all I have. Does anybody have any questions? Comments, concerns, emotional outbursts?